Hello, superfans, and welcome to Alberta News and Views. Mark Carney wants Canada to be European. This is a great post from Mark Nixon. Did the United States approve of this shift? Will we still be allies? Do you want closer ties to Europe or stronger ties with our closest friend and neighbor, the United States? This ends badly for Canada. This will end disastrously for Canada. The European Union wants to leverage Canada and its assets and turn us into a work colony. This is the purpose of Mark Carney. Listen to this. I am so tired of these politicians that created and forced shit policy on us the last 10 years and have the audacity to say that we are in hard, troubling times right now, like it was organic, like this thing just happened. They did this to us. Everything that is going on with us right now is because of their terrible policy, and they could change it tomorrow, but they will not, especially in Canada, with our bail reform, with the stupid bail laws. The bail, not jail. We have high crime and drugs and chaos in Canada because of Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney liberal shit policy. Listen to this.
So we're meeting now in that context in, as you just said, in hard times. We might say even a hinge moment of history, a world that's more dangerous and divided, a time where the rules-based international, the global order, rules-based global order is under threat, in a time when technological change is accelerating. And we really have two choices as a jurisdiction, as a country in this circumstance. We can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose and partnership. And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union to build a better world. And that's what today is about. It's about building on our triple alignment of values, of interests, and of trust built over the years. And so today, this is a new era of cooperation. Our strategic Canada-EU or EU-Canada strategic partnership for the future will build a new and deeper relationship that brings us closer together, from defense to digital, from supply chains to security. We're launching comprehensive negotiations across multiple areas of cooperation, connection, trade, security, digital, climate. And this will make us both more resilient and more prosperous. In many respects, what we're committing to, from our perspective, Canada's perspective, is an ongoing process to an ever closer partnership that will bring our people closer together.
Of course, he's talking about trading green credits, the green net zero scam. He wants to implement that. Without digital identification, you can't have that. That's what he's talking about in a digital world that will make us more prosperous. He is talking about trade. He is talking about green assets. None of this works without digital currency and with a digital identification for cross travel. It is unbelievable that people don't see what is coming and they put up with it. I'm going to just show you, we'll have a listen to the first little bit of Whitney Webb and what she says about Mark Carney. She is an investigative journalist. She does a deep dive into lots of crazy shit. I highly recommend you listen to her podcast. Just listen to this. It's crazy.
Mark Carney isn't stepping into power to protect Canadian sovereignty. He's here to dissolve it. This is not an elected leader with a mandate from the people. This is a banker groomed by global institutions, positioned at the helm of the most powerful central banks in the West, and now parachuted into Canada's top office in the middle of an engineered crisis. Carney was governor of the Bank of Canada during the 2008 crash. Then he was handed the top job at the Bank of England, becoming the first non-Brit to hold that position in over 3 centuries. That wasn't a promotion. That was placement. A signal to the global financial elite that Carney wasn't just one of them. He was ready for the next phase of the project. And that project is global governance, technocratic control, a world where countries exist in name, but real decisions are made by unelected bureaucrats, asset managers, and central banks. Carney has never hidden his loyalties. He's a key figure within the World Economic Forum, a trusted architect of Klaus Schwab's Great Reset. He doesn't just support stakeholder capitalism, he helped design its playbook. He spent the last several years preparing the framework for an economic transition that replaces national interest with global compliance, freedom with surveillance, and sovereignty with dependency. Carney's language is the same coded language used by every WEF loyalist: sustainability, resilience, inclusion, and climate finance. But decode that language and the reality is much darker. What they call climate finance is the commodification of nature, turning forests, oceans, carbon footprints, and even your personal behavior into financial instruments to be tracked, traded, and controlled.
That is exactly what I am talking about.
It's not about protecting the environment. It's about creating a new asset class for the elite. And once human behavior becomes an asset, it can also become a liability, something to be taxed, fined, or restricted. This is Carney's real vision for Canada, not protection from Trump, but deeper integration into a technocratic system designed in Davos and enforced through digital chains.
He had to dump Donald Trump because he was not on board with it. So he had to create an enemy, make people think that the United States is an enemy and we should be a lot closer with Europe, because the European Union with NATO and all of the other organizations there are on board with this transition. They have everything to gain and we have everything to lose. He is not a politician. He is not a man for the people. It is so obvious. This is from today, from the Globe and Mail. Canada, prepare for a decade of thrift and lower living standards. They are openly talking about 10 more years of lower living standards. Elbows up is ridiculous. We are poorer than we think. Canadians running their retirement numbers are shining light in the dark corners of household finances in this country. The sums leave many anxious, fearful, and sad about their finances, according to a Healthcare of Ontario pension plan survey recently reported in these pages. 52% of us worry a lot about our personal finances. 50% feel frustrated, 47% feel emotionally drained, and 43% feel depressed. There is not one survey indicator to suggest Canadians have made financial progress in 2025 compared with 2024. Now, knowing that, do you really think that Canadians would have voted in a free, fair election for Mark Carney? How does somebody like him get elected when so many Canadians are broke and broken? There are no coincidences. It is unreal. So, of course, all roads lead to Western independence. And other provinces are talking about independence now as well and breaking away from the federal government. I have called this years ago. The federal government needs to be dissolved in Canada. Each individual province needs to be independent so they can implement complete reform and get rid of the systemic corruption that is tearing apart the fabric of what used to be Canadian society. But there is still a way to get it all back. Listen to Danielle Smith.
What do you think the federal government, Prime Minister Carney and his government, what should they take from the fact that you're having this panel? You're having these questions. You may have other questions. There may be citizen-initiated questions, including a question of Alberta leaving Canada. There's a separatist party, at least one. And all of this stuff is happening in Alberta. They're sitting in Ottawa or Brussels and looking at that. What message should they take from all of this stuff that's happening? Not that I'm equating the separatism with your thing, but I'm saying generally all of this stuff that's going on in Alberta that's getting the headlines, including this story. What's the message that you hope gets through to them, to his government and his cabinet?
Well, I hope he takes the separatist sentiment as seriously as I do. It's no joke, and it's the highest I've ever seen it. And the reason for it is because of bad policies in Ottawa. And as I mentioned, they could solve this. They could solve this by having a mea culpa moment like they did when they repealed the carbon tax. Canadians had enough with how far they were going with the carbon tax. And I would say that they calibrated incorrectly on those 9 other bad laws. So he's demonstrated that he can change course when he sees something that's incorrect. And so I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to persuade him of that over the next 3 months. And so I think that it really is in his court. I've told him he does need to take this sentiment seriously, and that he can very easily see it subside if he just addresses these issues.
Thanks, Rick. And that's all the time we have for questions
Thanks,
today.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And for our panel members, we'll just take a
All the roads lead to Western independence. I am so tired of watching not just Canada, humanity just get destroyed. This is what I'll be talking about on the podcast probably on Friday or Saturday if you want to check it out. I'm going to start doing readings. No offense to old people, but the old people, the truck drivers and that, like it when I just read articles. Maybe they can't, I don't know, but they're asking me to do it again. I used to do it in the beginning of Alberta News, so I'm just going to keep on doing it. From the Defender, Children's Health Defense, News and Views. They got good stuff. Make sure you give them a follow. Addictive use of screens linked to higher risk of suicide in kids, study finds. We all know this. Addictive use of screens linked to higher risk of suicide. It's not screen time alone that predicts mental health issues, but the quality and emotional dependence on screen use that matters most, according to new research published in GEM. You know, I don't even think it's just in kids. I think adults themselves, it's rotting their brain. So heads up, this is what I'll be talking about, how screen use leads to suicidal thoughts, depression, infertility, you name it. It's a disease is what it is. We need proper education for so many things. It is so infuriating watching it all. Watching all of our institutions that should be for good, they instead are not even for bad, for money. It's just so sad. I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. Follow me on Substack, Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. All of you out there, like, share, and take care.